What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another CrossFit news update. I'm going to try and get these vlogs out every week just to serve up the recent CrossFit news that's been happening all over social media, what the athletes have been up to, what CrossFit HQ is up to. If you're not already, guys, please do consider hitting that subscribe button below to stay up to date with recent content and news. So, what's been happening in the world of CrossFit this week? Well, again, not much to report, but there's been some activity with some of the athletes. So just looking through social media and seeing what the athletes have been up to, Goodman Sin on his stories, he lifted 120 kilograms for 2 reps and made it look quite comfortable. He did say in there that it looked quite sloppy, but to me, that would probably be a perfect lift. I mean, he's not seen me when I snatch. I literally take it for a longer walk than I do with a dog, to be honest. But one thing I would say about Gudmundsson, he's doing really well at the minute. And in my opinion, I think that he could be the one to disrupt that top 5 leaderboard. And I think he could be a contender for the #1 top spot, depending obviously what happens with the games this year. But I think once this year's out of the way, working towards kind of 2021, I think he's one to keep your eye on because he's always up there. And I think he's getting a lot stronger, he's getting a lot fitter, and he's a bit of a dark horse. So keep your eye on Gudmundsson. We've seen another Icelandic athlete absolutely smashing it, Thorisdottir. I think when you look at Thorisdottir, it's just absolutely amazing that she's continuing to train throughout the whole of the pregnancy. And I think it's sending an absolutely amazing message to women out there that you can still train when you're pregnant, obviously, albeit just making sure that you're doing things correctly, and albeit she's not doing the things that she was doing before, but I think that sends a real positive message to women that are participating in any form of exercise. So good on you, Annie. It's great to see you maintaining that level of fitness, and hope to see you back next year in 2021 absolutely dominating the games with another little cheerleader behind you. There's not really been too much chat from CrossFit HQ. Eric Rosa has put out a recent update on Instagram. I think that what he's going to be doing is taking time, like most CEOs do. They come into an organization and they just kind of take stock, reflect, absorb what's going on in terms of the culture and in terms of the operations, and just look for what's actually happening in terms of the personnel, in terms of the resources and all that sort of thing. So generally what a CEO does when a new owner comes in, they kind of just take stock of what's actually happening, and then they'll make informed decisions on how they're going to move things forward. And he has made an initial impact. I think it's been a positive impact for the whole CrossFit community, given everything that has happened recently. So it's good to see someone take the lead with it and take it into a positive direction. And I think there's a lot more positive change to come in the next few months, and we'll see what happens with the games this year. I think there's going to be some decisions around that. In my opinion, I think they should just completely wipe it this year and kind of focus on for next year, and obviously taking into consideration the athletes that have qualified and put them through some sort of process for next year where they will have a better chance of qualifying, because the likes of Zach George, it'd be unfortunate if he wasn't able to get his ticket to the games. But let's see what happens. Lots of positive change, so really excited for that. This is kind of just an update of somebody that I'm following, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are following them as well. But if you get injuries quite a lot, if your volume's quite high, there is actually a really good page on Instagram that you should be following. His name is Dr. Aaron Horschig. I think that's how you pronounce his surname, but he's recently done an interview with the Lean Machines. You probably want to check that out. I will link it below. But when you look at his content, he does a lot of things around corrective exercises and kind of that philosophy of not loading dysfunction. You know, I generally pick up a bit of a tight shoulder problems, hip problems, and just following that channel has been hugely helpful in terms of mobility, corrective exercises, and not just going kind of full pelt into, big lifts like squats and snatches without making sure that I'm warmed up properly, or doing some form of accessory work to make sure that I'm going in there and I'm not damaging myself even further. So if you're not already checking out Squat University, I would highly recommend giving that a follow. In other news, we've seen Brent Fikowski's pole.
So I'm up here on a ladder, and this is the thing that everyone keeps asking about that I had built attached to the front of the garage gym. That's it.
That is one well-constructed pole. So Brent, thanks for sharing that. It was great to see. I've not really seen much activity from Dave Castro other than the fact that on his stories he's been talking to a lot of affiliates about plans for the future, which they seem to have landed quite positively and quite well. So I think there's a bit of a rebuilding exercises around the affiliates that were a bit unsure whether they were going to stay with CrossFit, or maybe some that had left. So I think he's doing some work in the trenches with regards to building up relationships with affiliates, which is great to see. In terms of this year's games, I know I've kind of touched upon it already. As it stands, it's still going ahead. I think there's, with everything that's going off in the world right now with COVID and travel restrictions, you know, there's still quite a lot of it, cases of COVID in the US. So whether athletes from other countries will be reluctant to go over, or even whether they would want to go over at all, or even if they're allowed to go over. I just think with the restrictions in place, there's still travel restrictions globally, which would inhibit some athletes traveling from other countries. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens with that. Obviously the US athletes will definitely be able to get over there, but will it be the right thing to do? I don't know. I think Personally, I just think that the right thing to do is just, with everything that's happened, like, let's just can the CrossFit Games this year. Let's accept that it's been a bad year for everyone globally, with the health crisis, with heightened tensions, and I just think that the best call for this year is to kind of take stock as to where things are at with regards to CrossFit HQ, reshape it, and also look to how they can rebuild that for the future and focus a little bit more on the affiliates, maybe create a better online open for people once restrictions are starting to lift. I know that they are lifting a lot more in the UK. Hopefully the UK gyms will start to open up a little bit more in the next few weeks, hopefully, fingers crossed. But let's see where we're at. I think personally that they should just leave the games for this year and focus their efforts on rebuilding for next year. That's my personal opinion. It'd be great to get your thoughts as well, so please do let me know in the comments below. And that's all the news that we have for today. We will be back next week with some more CrossFit updates. If you want to keep up to date, please do hit that subscribe button. If you are enjoying the content, hit that like button. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.